Hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Krong Chocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with a quote unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with the supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Shout out to everybody on Patreon enjoying this full episode. For the people on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, any of those things, and all of a sudden at 10 minutes it's over, you're like, dang, what happened? Check out our Patreon. They even have it where you can take it and upload it's our stream code to your Spotify, to your Apple Podcast, so you can get all of the episodes of Patreon onto your podcasting apps. It's so nice because I know some people prefer only audio. You don't want to sit and stare at my face. I understand. But check the episode descriptions. All the information you'll need is there. But today, I'm super excited for this conversation. One, because it's a new person to talk footy with, a new friend in the world of Shady Gang, and Liverpool women. They have some of our old work. Shout out to Garrett Taylor. I am not happy that Riza Shimizu is there, so I want to know how she's doing and if they're being nice to her. So many questions. Do we have enough time? We'll find out. Shady Gang, give it up for Ashley Page. How are you?
I'm doing great. As you mentioned, first time. For those who, for whatever reason, have heard of me, you're probably somewhere in the Midwest. I run Northland Media, which consists of Northland Soccer. Covered Minnesota United for about 10 years. On top of that, I host the Empower Women's Football podcast, which I cover the Nordic leagues. Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Those are kind of my primaries. And outside of that,
Okay.
I'm a fan. My number one team has to be my gals up in Portland. They're easily the number one club I follow. And of course, FC St. Pauli out of Germany is my other team.
Same. Hey, shout out to the Bundesliga. Okay, I love this. Well, before we get into all of the weeds when it comes to the game, the Liverpool, please, we'll start with something a little fun. What is something that you think is overrated? We'll do overrated and underrated, but I like starting off with overrated because that's usually the one that people tend to struggle with. What do you think is overrated about football?
Overrated international football. It adds a ton of time on the men's side, and on the women's side, there's really not enough teams for it to be super competitive. So, especially living here in the States, it's just kind of watching the U.S. women bash teams left and right until the Olympics or the World Cup comes around, and then we go, "Oh shit, we have to play somebody who actually is good." What do we do now?
That's fair. That is fair. These international breaks. Thankfully, it's the men, but the women's is in 2 weeks, I believe. So it's coming up.
Yes.
When it comes to national teams, the men, no, thank you. But the women, all day, I will. I say it all the time. The U.S. women is the only time that I will ever think about wearing red, white, and blue and being like USA, USA. I get that with the women. Nothing really else nationwide. Nationwide, definitely not the men. Like the men just find new and imaginative ways of embarrassing us every match. It's almost impressive. If it wouldn't be so
it is impressive in a very terrible way.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't so maddening, I would laugh at it. But yeah, no, it's so shout out to the I have some friends who are huge into the men's team and like they write for them, they do podcasts and stuff like that. And I'll talk to them about it and they have all these positive things to talk about. And as you should, you're going to see the bright side. But it's just like I'm always like that surly friend that's just like, why are we talking about them right now? What is something you got? What is something that you think is underrated about football?
Underrated is probably going to get me skewered outside of North America. American style playoffs, especially if it's not like MLS where it's 18 of your 30 teams, but if you put 8 of your best teams in a league, such as the USL where there's in the championship where there's 24, or you take 6 from an 18 team league, that can actually be extremely interesting. And playoffs are just a completely different level of crazy of footy, just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, where it actually is the best of the best teams playing each other instead of
Yes.
yeah, you're throwing in this team just for the sake of numbers and getting extra games, which means marketing, advertising revenue, and all this other nonsense. And especially, like, obviously, anything can happen in playoff games, and that's kind of what you want. But if I am the best team all season, and then I draw this team that is barely 500, and then I lose to them, I get anything as possible, but I'm gonna be ready to like curse somebody out.
Yep, I'm kind of thinking maybe the WSL should go along that route since Chelsea's been winning the league for I don't know how many years straight now.
Yeah, it's I mean, thankfully this seems like it's going to be one of the most open seasons in a while. So we'll see. I say this now, but then in a month I could just be like, "Damn Chelsea!" But until then, I'm just gonna hug that second place spot in WSL and just stare at it and be like, look at us. Who would have thought? Not even me. So I am thankful and excited with how the team is playing so far this season. Let's talk about the transfers made by Liverpool. And really it was just, hey, let's get rid of our best player, young player, and who could be a franchise player. And I do understand it would be almost impossible to hold on to her, especially with the lack. All players want Champions League football, or they want to lift some sort of trophies. And when we first started the pod, Liverpool were doing pretty decent with Matt Beard. They were doing well. And you just, if to me, it's like, oh, they just need a little bit of like money in the club to do some things. They did the complete opposite. They've taken so much money and care out of the club. And Olivia Smith leaves, a bunch of players leave on free, including Taylor Hines. They only bring in players for like number wise, like we lost a winger, we'll bring in a winger. We lost a midfielder, we'll bring in a midfielder. I don't think they necessarily brought in anybody to ease the stress of Liverpool supporters, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and that's really the case. You kind of nailed it right on the head. They, dumping Olivia Smith in the off season, that's a big move, and that is kind of a cornerstone where, okay, here's a forward you can start and build this club off of. Mm-hmm. But Liverpool has unfortunately made it very clear it doesn't seem they're going to be putting investment into the women's side. And as a Liverpool supporter for the women, it's now looking like, okay, are we going to be in the WSL next year? Are we looking at dropping down to WSL 2? Is this potentially a 2 straight drops level of bad? There have been some acquisitions. Personally, I would have to say my favorite one was acquiring Beata Olsson from Kristianstads in the Damallsvenskan. She had a standout season in Sweden. 10 goals, 15 matches. She's 24 years old and a former youth international. The problem is she has not gotten the playing time since joining in September.
No.
So she leaves Kristianstads towards the end of the Damallsvenskan season, joins up with Liverpool. It looks like it's going to be a big move, and she is at best a bench player right now and possibly even a number 3 striker.
I mean, we'll get to Gareth, but he's pretty well known for bringing players that excite the fan base, coming to a club, being at a club, and then just never seeing them for some reason. And it's never quite explained. And like, I mean, heck, we can just get to Garrett Taylor, good old Gaz. He split our pod, like some of our biggest fights on our pod, because we cover city men and women, was anytime we would talk about Garrett Taylor, half of us were like, get him out of here. I was on that, get him out of here. The other half were like, hey, he's doing a good job tactic wise and everything. It was very hard to ignore. Just year after year, we would be losing mega names. Like it's just kind of them getting pushed out, and